Welcome to Kermode Uncut. A week or so ago, I did a blog about people eating in cinemas. This was off the back of a complaint that Imelda Staunton had made about people eating in theatre productions. And I said, look, you shouldn't eat in theatres, you shouldn't eat in cinemas. And there was a huge response from you. And I have to say that an awful lot of those responses were saying, yes, we absolutely agree. However, there is a sort of divergence of opinion. And in the interest of balance, I want to go through just some of your responses, both for and against my argument. Let's start with those who agreed. This by John Harding. Completely agree. No eating, drinking or using phones or other electrical devices in a cinema or theatre. It's only for a couple of hours. Well, that's kind of how I feel about it. This by Samandlia. Here in the US, it's even worse. People coming in with buckets, I'm not exaggerating, buckets of popcorn and sweets in wrappers that just about drown out the sound. And even worse is the smell that greets your nostrils from the ghastly snacks that are being cooked. And again, this is completely in keeping with the thing I think, which is, you sit there in the cinema, you should watch the movie, you shouldn't make smells, you shouldn't make noise, you shouldn't make distractions, you should watch the film. This from Anthony Quinn. It's even worse in my local cinema. There was a time when you'd queue for your ticket to see the movie and then a separate queue for drinks and snacks. So some bright spark has decided to combine the two. So now you get your tickets where they sell the food. He then goes on to say this thing about you're queuing behind people that are buying popcorn. Actually, I know about this. I wrote a really long section about this in a book I wrote several years ago. And when the book came out, people said, he's making that up. He's making that up, the idea of go to buy tickets at the same place as the sweet store. Now, it's pretty much standard. They sell you the tickets and the popcorn and the bilge at exactly the same time. So, these are responses from people who agree with me. However, not everyone did. This, for example, what a load of twaddle. Cinema and popcorn are genetically linked. Popcorn is one of the symbols of cinema, always has been. They dropped popcorn on the stars at the Oscars this year. I personally feel that snacks and confections are part of the cinema experience. Phones, sure. Talking, sure. But popcorn, it's snobby and it ain't right. And that wasn't just the only respondent to say that. This came from Tony. What a snobby point of view. There's the word snobby again. It's not about whether you eat or not. It's about personal responsibility to people around you in respect of the performance. I love to eat popcorn in the theatre and the cinema because I love popcorn. If I've paid my hard-earned money to see a play or a film, then I have the right to eat or drink something while I'm watching it. Goes on to say that he's always aware of, the noise it's making, so waits for a sort of loud section before doing it. But basically, while respect must be given to the people who want to watch and perform the show, respect must also be paid to the people who want to be able to relax and not have to be told off for wanting that. And several of you picked up on this, that my tone was apparently rather hectoring and telling off. This from Phil Hare. Another perspective could be that you're actively campaigning against an income stream that certainly independent cinemas really rather need. And this came up a lot, and in fact there's been a very good book written about the history of cinema and popcorn and how, particularly in the 1950s, the cinema industry was essentially held up by sales of popcorn. This from Street RW. How much money did the cinema make from the concession stand? Coke, popcorn, coffees, bags of licorice, all sorts. Frankly, anything that keeps them in business is fine by me. Box of fruit pastels and mysteriously coloured milkshakes provide an extra revenue stream that presumably distributors don't get a percentage on. Now, look, this is absolutely true. There is no question that a huge amount of the profit that cinema chains make is tied up with the food. And for me, that's a problem. But it's also true that it has historically been the case. Yes, popcorn and cinema are linked, although I always remember Barry Norman saying, isn't it weird that of all the foodstuffs that could be linked with cinema, it's popcorn, the loudest, the noisiest, the most scruffliest food form possible is the one that's tied up with cinema. I'll end with this from PJ Hughes. I had said in my thing, stop it, stop eating, stop joining in, sit down, watch the film, pay attention, respect the movie. PJ Hughes says, guess the Rocky Horror Picture Show's screwed then, huh?